The bill.
HB 4406 by Phelan relating to the reporting of direct campaign expenditures by certain persons in political committees.
Chair House Speaker Phelan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Currently, when someone makes a direct expenditure, often called an independent expenditure, to support or benefit a candidate without the candidate's knowledge or consent, the individual or entity must identify the candidate benefiting from the expenditure on their campaign finance report. However, current rules do not require individuals or entities spending money to oppose candidates to clearly identify the opposed candidate when reporting these expenditures. HB 4406 would enhance transparency by clearly showing how much money is being spent both to support and oppose individual candidates, providing voters and candidates a clearer understanding of campaign finance activities.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Hopper, for what purpose?
will the gentleman yield for questions?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Absolutely.
The gentleman yields for questions.
The bill analysis says that you informed the committee that there is a need for increased transparency and accountability in reporting political contributions and expenditures. Is that right? Did you say that?
I don't have the paper in front of you. That sounds correct.
It also says that you informed the committee that enhancing reporting requirements and providing clearer and more comprehensive financial disclosures would ensure that voters and stakeholders can better understand the financial activities behind political campaigns. Do you remember that? Is that true?
That sounds correct. Sure.
Okay. And you believe that transparency in political spending is important to voters?
Yes, sir.
And that transparency in government spending is important to taxpayers?
Sure.
Okay. Is it wrong to cover up true expenditures from voters and taxpayers?
Pardon me. Say that again.
Do you think it's wrong to cover up true expenditures from voters and taxpayers?
That does not sound like a worthy cause. No, sir.
Right. Your bill amends Texas Election Code Section 254.031A7 to require reporting of the name of each candidate or office holder for whom a direct campaign expenditure was made to support or oppose, rather than the current requirement to report the name of each candidate or office holder who benefits from a direct campaign expenditure made. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. What is an expenditure to support a candidate that you used in your bill? What would be an example of that?
Well, currently the law is if you're supporting a candidate without their knowledge or consent, so it's an indirect expenditure, then you on your campaign finance report has to show I spent X amount of money supporting Mr. Hopper. The law does not say that if you oppose Mr. Hopper, I spent money opposing him. That is not required on that PAC, we'll call it a PAC, campaign finance report. This bill, as you know, I'm sure you're aware, passed this House almost unanimously last session with one no vote. It overwhelmingly passed the Senate and was vetoed by the governor for unrelated reasons to the bill. But yes, sir, this chamber outside yourself and some others have passed this language before. The Senate's passed it before. Unfortunately, we didn't get it past the governor's desk last time.
Okay, I appreciate that. What is an expenditure to oppose a candidate as used in your bill? What would that look like?
To oppose a candidate?
Yeah, just give me an example. Like, what would if you're opposing a candidate, like what would an expenditure like that?
I
Give me
think
an
a piece of
example.
mail would be considered a normal expenditure when you're opposing a candidate, or a measure. It could be a ballot. It could be something on the constitutional ballot that it doesn't have to be a person or a candidate.
Okay. And you're familiar with direct campaign expenditures?
Sure.
Okay. Currently, if you make a direct campaign expenditure that benefits a candidate, you must report it, right?
To benefit?
Yes.
I'm sure that may be the case, sir. I'm not aware of that particulars of that piece of code. I'm not talking about that right now.
Right. So currently, so if you send a text message, for instance, to benefit a candidate, or mail advertising to benefit a candidate, are you required to report that expenditure?
I'm sorry, say that again. A text message or what?
So if you send like a text message or mail advertising to benefit a candidate, you're supposed to right now report that.
Well, yes. If you were doing an indirect expenditure, you're supposed to report that, or a direct expenditure. If you're reading that piece of code, I'm not.
Okay. But so with this bill, if you send a text message opposing a candidate, that would be a required expenditure.
I don't know about a text message. I've got a bill in about 10 minutes that will address text messages. That is a different section. That is text messages do not appear in our statutes right now.
Okay.
But hopefully we'll change that in a few minutes.
Text message, maybe like an email blast that costs some money. That would be.
I'm not, again, I don't know if email is part of that as well, but I do know mail, radio, TV.
So, with this bill, what happens when a representative staffer spends their time defending their boss on social media? How would that be reported?
Sir, I'm not advised that's applicable to this legislation.
Okay, thank you.
Members, let's pass this bill in memory of Glenn Rogers, who was a great member of the Texas House. Move passage.
Question occurs on passage of third reading. Record vote. Clerk, ring the bell. Have all members voted? Mr. Alcott voting no. Mr. Dutton voting aye. Have all members voted? 105 ayes and 35 nays. House Bill 4406 is passed to engrossment.